I love how right-wingers have come out against being quote-unquote woke. Because it just shows how much they hate the idea of accepting others for who they are, or caring about like systemic injustices that happen in the United States. Uh, it's just kind of hilarious because it goes against like everything that they claim to religiously believe. But here we have PragerU in their video Unwoke Inc.
First time I heard woke, I thought it was something positive. You know, that you were awake to what was happening and that you were fighting the white male capitalist who had the whole world set up for himself. And you were gonna be the activist who brought the whole system down.
Omelet interview, take one.
My name is Amala Epinobi. I live in LA and I work for PragerU. At this point in the
Her job title is PragerU personality. I wonder how much she's getting paid to say all this. Because she's probably getting paid a decent bit to just be a bunch of lies.
2020s, woke is everywhere. On billboards, in entertainment, in sports, on our clothes, in our schools. And I work for PragerU. At this point in the 2020s, woke is everywhere. On billboards.
Love comes in every shade. Is that
for PragerU? At this point in the 2020s, woke is everywhere.
Love comes in every shade. So are they saying that they're against interracial marriage? That's crazy. And this probably also it represents LGBTQ and you know, different types of families and stuff. But how is that bad?
On billboards, in entertainment, in
Black Lives Matter. So somehow wanting to support Black people and you know, their struggles in society, that is somehow bad.
Sports, on our clothes, in
our supporting the LGBTQ community, yeah, and that is supposed to be bad somehow according to right-wingers who claim to love their neighbors.
In our schools and in our businesses. And I kept wondering, how did this happen? We all feel it, and the feeling isn't a good one. As someone who was once on the far left, I worry that wokeism is ripping our country apart.
I believe wokeism is ripping America apart. No, it's right-wingers that is ripping America apart.
At PragerU, we have a slogan. Don't just complain, do something. So, I began asking questions. Where did wokeism come from? Is woke here to stay? And are there alternatives to wokeism? So began what would become a journey.
The alternative to wokeism is like hating Black people for being Black and wanting to make them slaves again, forcing gay people and other people of the LGBTQ community to be back in closets or killing them, making women just a broodmare once more, and removing their rights to have bank accounts and vote and stuff like that.
Across the United States to try to find those answers. And perhaps, in finding those answers, we'll find a way to end wokeism once.
This is hilarious. What is a PragerU personality? That's just hilarious how that's her job. Her only job is to say things that PragerU has written for her.
For all. So much of the talk around woke seems to be just that, talk. At the end of the day, nothing will change if those of us who disagree with wokeism don't take action ourselves. But to understand what can be done about it, we need to understand the world in which it originated. My first stop was to talk to the man who literally wrote the book on woke. Here we are in Columbus, Ohio. The first questions: what is wokeism? And where did it come from? Hi, Vivek.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Meet Vivek Ramaswamy. He recently founded Strive Asset Management, an investment management firm that's challenging industry titans like BlackRock and Vanguard. He's doing it the old-fashioned way, focusing his investment decisions on excellence over politics. But before Strive, he founded a multi-billion-dollar biotech company called Roivant Sciences. They were literally working to cure cancer. Until, at the height of Black Lives Matter, his board and employees demanded Vivek speak out in full support of the organization and the movement. And he couldn't do it with a clear conscience.
But I stepped down as CEO.
So he left the company that he created. Because of this experience, Vivek wrote a book you might have.
Wow, he hated the idea of supporting black people not being killed by the cops that he left his business. Wow, that's freaking stupid.
Heard of, called Woke Inc. He wrote a book called Woke Inc. I think a lot of people are going to hear that and go, what's woke? Mm-hmm. So Vivek, what's woke?
Yeah, wokeness refers to being alert to invisible injustices perpetuated against disempowered classes of people, generally defined on genetically inherited characteristics like race, gender, and sexual orientation.
And it's not always invisible. I mean, there's pretty blatantly obvious, like, injustices that happen. And, you know, before right-wingers were using, like, woke as a derogatory term against left-wing, it was like social justice warriors. And they probably had something before that when, you know, civil rights leaders were fighting against various social injustices.
Basically, it borrows from the tropes of Marxism, which was this oppressor-oppressed narrative.
Right-wingers always have to bring out, like, oh, anything that the left wing does, it's connected to Marxism, because Marxism is bad. This is bad.
But wokeism was not just Marxism, it was the merger of Marxism with identity politics. The idea that you are nothing more and nothing less than the genetic stock that you inherit on the day you're born. So that's what you.
This is just hilarious. Just more fear mongering. The right wing always wants to connect everything to Marxism, and then fearmonger about it. Woke started in the African American community, where it just meant being aware of the social injustices that were happening and trying to change what was going on.
You sort of refer to as the trend of modern wokeness.
Okay.
Now, this is a fringe philosophy. I mean, this was a theory from the halls of academia, and it was a challenge to the system. It was an interesting set of ideas. Does it mean it was all coherent? No, not necessarily. But it was interesting. It was provocative. It was a different way of looking at human relations. It was an interesting worldview in some classroom at some liberal arts university somewhere. Mm-hmm. But wokeness at some point moved from being about being a challenge to the system to becoming the system. So
no, fighting social injustices isn't about becoming the system. That's what right-wingers think. They think that their inability to discriminate and abuse other people mean that the other group is becoming the system, and that is not the case.
to really understand the origin story of wokeism, you have to understand academia first. That's where it was born. It was born as an infant there, became an adolescent somewhere else, but let's start with the infancy. That's where it began.
At the end of the day, the rise of wokeism wasn't an overnight phenomenon. It's actually been in the works for years. So like many bad ideas, wokeism started in academia. But why? And why didn't it stay in the ivory tower? How did this cancer infect every other area of society?
How did fighting against social injustices infect every corner of society? Maybe it's because there's social injustices happening and people don't like how it's going on, so they want to change it. Like, you know, when women fought for the right to vote, which was a social injustice.
I needed to talk to somebody who understood academia and from a long-term, multifaceted perspective. And so I traveled to Washington, D.C. to talked to a visionary who did something many people consider to be impossible. He founded a new college that now rivals the Ivy League.
I don't know. I think it's pretty woke that they're allowing a woman to be their speaker in this video. Shouldn't women, according to the religious right, just be at home, not speaking about anything, just taking care of the kids? Why isn't she at home taking care of the kids? She's pretty progressive in that sense, being a working woman.
This is Michael Ferris. He started Patrick Henry College, a classical liberal arts college just outside of Washington, D.C. In only 20 years of the college's existence, Patrick Henry graduates have become leaders in the highest halls of power, including Congress, Hollywood, and the White House. And this sort of cultural impact was by design. Ferris has been fighting wokeism before it was even called wokeism. And more importantly, he's been winning.
And I dare anyone to read my legal analysis.
Through Patrick Henry College, Mike is taking the battle against woke to the source by educating new generations of students in a rigorous, truth-focused education. Where do you think
Truth-focused education? And that just sounds so totally bogus, just a bunch of buzzwords thrown together.
wokeness started? What's your theory there?
Where I was seeing it mostly was in the schools of education. They were teaching there is no truth, but what they meant is we're going to undermine the objective truth that you believe in and pretend that all truth is relative. And we're going to follow that up eventually with our truth. And that idea is now we're going to jam our truth down your throat and you better kneel.
Wow, you better kneel, huh? Is that what he hears a lot? But everything he says just sounds like bogus BS. Oh, they were saying that my truth was a lie and that their truth was the truth, and they were trying to force me to believe it. So it sounds like what people were saying, that there's a bunch of problems that they want to address, and he didn't like that society was, or people were trying to change the status quo.
You raise a generation that's told at the university that nobody can disagree with you. You take that attitude to campus, you think that's the way the whole world should be like, and that's what you believe, that's the way you were trained.
It's kind
University kneel. You raise a generation that's told at the university that nobody can disagree with you. You take that attitude to campus, you
interesting how they show this and claim, it's kind of bad that people are protesting against Nazis. People in Charlottesville actually killed some Nazis in Charlottesville actually killed people.
You think that's the way the whole world should be like, and that's what you believe, that's the way you were trained. And you will not be a friend of truth. You will not be a friend of freedom. You're going to be a friend of repressing anybody who doesn't follow the party line.
So, accepting the LGBTQ community for who they are, allowing them to marry and dress the way they want and stuff, that's like what, going against the truth? Letting women vote? Black people having rights? That's against the truth? That's too woke.
The tyranny that's in place today believes that the heart, soul, and mind of man belongs to government. And that mantra has been taken up by big corporations and social media giants and so on. And that totalitarian impulse is the opposite of liberty or progressivism or anything, any of the traditional meanings of those terms.
Funny how he's talking about all these groups being against progressivism and liberty. Like, what? Women being able to vote is pretty, that's liberty. People being able to marry who they want, that's liberty. What? This document just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's just a bunch of like buzzwords and like scary, quote unquote, scary pictures to right wingers and stuff. And it's just to trigger the right.
Our country was a liberal democracy. We're fast becoming a totalitarian bureaucratically run country, not a democracy and not a republic.
And no, our nation now is more of a democracy than it was when the founding fathers created the nation after, genociding a bunch of Native Americans. Because when the founding fathers had America, women couldn't vote, which is not very democratic. Uh, Black people couldn't vote, which isn't very democratic. Only wealthy white landowning males could vote, so poor uh, non-landowning white males couldn't vote, which doesn't seem very democratic if you think of democracy as everybody getting to vote.
We need to walk, we need to march, we need to shout.
Transgender rights are one of the most important civil rights movements of our lifetime.
We can enact change in this country.
It's just funny when right-wing women speak about social injustices and wokeism and like being against that, when if it wasn't for woke women in the past, these women wouldn't have the right to vote. They wouldn't have the right to open a bank account. They wouldn't have the right to work. Yet here they are speaking against all those rights that they like.
So you teach a generation that truth is subjective and ever evolving. You brainwash them to accept no alternative viewpoints. It's the woke way or no way. And then you release them into every...
That is actually how right-wingers are. It's either you go religious and, bigot way of seeing everybody, or not. People on the left were like, yeah, we're pretty inclusive. You can live the way you want as long as you're not harming people or trying to force your viewpoints on everybody else. It's funny how right-wingers claim to be all about liberty and freedom when they want to force people to live the way they believe they should live, while people on the left are like, yeah, we want people to live the way they want to live, and we're going to fight for them to live the way they want to live.
Industry of our society. Perhaps the most pernicious infiltration? The indoctrination tool for the masses. Entertainment. For years...
Oh no, evil left-wing Hollywood, here to brainwash your kids into accepting everybody as people.
Everyday Americans have complained about woke Hollywood. But we're not here to complain. We want to create alternatives. So I decided to talk to a man who is doing just that, creating an alternative to Hollywood.
Oh, I can't imagine a right-wing, Hollywood type production studio. It would just be horrible since right-wing stuff is just trash all the time. It would just be nothing but bigotry and shitty jokes. There's a reason why right-wing social media sites and stuff never really do well.
And multiple other industries.
One type of woman gets to express her opinions and her views. That is not... Oh my God!
Wait, that's not the man we're talking about. That is. Meet Jeremy Boring. Jeremy is the co-founder of a media...
Yeah, he's definitely a very boring person.
...an entertainment company called The Daily Wire. They push buttons. They tell the truth. And they're working every day to create both news and entertainment that is free from liberal bias.
They tell the truth. Right. Yeah, the Daily Wire does nothing but lie.
In many ways, big media has become just a propaganda arm of the left. And Daily Wire wanted to correct that.
Welcome!
Right, by becoming a big arm of the media, which is funny how people on the right criticize like mainstream media while being mainstream media.
We produce written articles, news articles. We produce podcasts. We're the 5th largest podcast publisher in the world. But beyond the Daily Wire, we've expanded into something we're calling Daily Wire Plus. And it's really a broader cultural entertainment play. We're making movies, we're making television shows, we're making kids entertainment, which I think is probably the most important fight.
They're making kids entertainment. Crazy how they complain about people on the left trying to indoctrinate kids while they do the same thing. It seems like it's bad when the left does it, but okay when the right does it. Good for me, bad for thee.
Will ever take on.
They've also started making some pretty awesome products that offer an alternative to woke companies and other industries as well.
Jeremy's Razors is a consumer goods alternative to companies like Gillette and Harry's Razors, who have all publicly embraced the LGBT agenda.
So their only reason for making these companies is because the companies that they're against are okay with the LGBTQ community. That's funny. It'd be no different if these people were like, yeah, I don't like that these companies let black people into their establishment. I'm gonna create an establishment that only caters to white people. It's like it's just showing how bigoted these people are, and they think they're like good people.
And not just the LGBT agenda, the radical gender theory being pushed on children. Daily Wire Plus, 1 million plus paying subscribers.
I mean, trans people are just the next group of people that the right wing know that they can target with not as much backlash as, like trying to target just gay people now that they have more solidified rights, or black people. I mean, if this was during the civil rights era, they would be saying the same thing like about like black people wanting the ability to vote and, not be discriminated against. It's just it's all the same arguments, just with a different group of people.
Right now, at Jeremy's Razors, we have sold over 100,000 razor subscriptions. I think all of that is because the half of the country that up until now has been divided by nothing, they've had no alternatives whatsoever, are eager and hungry to engage with those alternatives when they're presented, especially if we're not.
I mean, all you gotta do is, take out LGBTQ community and put in the black community, or take out, wokeism and accepting black people as people, and you will see and understand how racist and bigoted the idea of being against quote-unquote wokeism and stuff is, because wokeism just means fighting for, human rights and stuff like that.
Exploiting them, if we're actually providing value to them, then I think that there's enormous opportunity to succeed.
Hollywood going woke was pretty easy to see coming. But what happened next, no one expected. Sports went woke.
Yeah.
Sports went woke.
Yeah. People protesting against cops, killing black people is going woke. That is bad because, cops should be allowed to kill whoever they want, especially if their skin tone is a little bit brown, right, guys? It's like, I just find it hilarious how upset right-wingers are about people not wanting cops to kill black people.
See that guy standing while everyone else is kneeling? That's Jonathan Isaac. He plays for the Orlando Magic in the NBA. He also happened to be one of the few NBA players who publicly expressed discomfort with supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. This all came to a head when the players on his team...
Yeah, and there was a bunch of Nazis that also was against the Black Lives Matter community. What is that supposed to mean? Is this guy supposed to be special or something? No, it's just another person that is against, people actually having rights and not being murdered for being black.
Team decided to collectively kneel during the national anthem. So he did what he felt was right. He stood. Now, Jonathan is launching his own apparel company called Unite Us, in hopes of bringing people together over love of God and country.
Wow. Love of God and country. That is hilarious. I wonder how many people are going to uh, like that he's pandering to the right-wing religious community when the right-wing religious community supposedly hates the idea of companies pandering, especially when they're pandering to the LGBTQ community, quote unquote, pandering.
Unitas is a sports and apparel company, and the basis of it for me is freedom. You have companies that are in that field who have made a conscious decision to either attack or undermine Christian values, conservative values and things like that. And I think that they have the free choice to do so, as much as I disagree. But I think
Yeah, everybody has the free choice to criticize idiotic religious beliefs or racist political ideas. Uh, I mean, you can be a right winger and be against that. Surprising that he's claiming that he's in support of people criticizing his shitty ass beliefs.
that we also have a freedom to create what we want to create.
Left to right, show me what you moving like. Ooh, feeling right, keep it moving side to side.
The hope is to be able to sign athletes across all different sports and to create a real infrastructure of people who are in the sports world, moms and dads who want to buy their kids sneakers and clothes, but want to give their money to a company that they know is going to work towards bolstering their values.
Ooh, ready to go, up in the way, moving the tide, starting the way.
We can be proud of what we believe in. We don't have to hide or be ashamed of it.
When have right wingers ever had to hide their beliefs? When have Christians ever had to hide their beliefs or be ashamed of it? This is hilarious how right wingers believe that they're persecuted for their ideas when they're the ones persecuting others.
As the day continues to get, darker and darker and crazier, you standing up for what you believe in is only going to get harder, but is only going to become more and more necessary.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming harder and harder for trans people and others to stand up for their beliefs with all these laws being passed. But luckily, some of them have been struck down, like in Tennessee, the anti-drag law was struck down by a federal judge. Hopefully, eventually in Florida, some of their laws will get struck down.
Left to right, hey, it's time to slide. Hey, one time, hey, two times, hey, oh my, keep it moving side to side.
But it didn't end in sports. We all know the story. It felt like the flip of a switch. Like every company in America was suddenly spouting the woke orthodoxy, and anyone who disagreed with them was ousted, condemned, and silenced.
I love that they now hate corporations for being quote unquote woke or just being inclusive to other people. I mean, this is no different than when right wingers got upset when affirmative action and stuff was passed as law and businesses were required to, not discriminate against black people. I mean, the most recent thing going on with business besides, like, Bud Light and Target. Chick-fil-A decided to be a bit more inclusive, and now right-wingers are wanting to boycott one of the most hardcore conservative businesses for being quote-unquote woke.
A perfect example? Amanda Ensing.
People love to complain about the culture and the environment, but they don't do anything. We need to be creating our own verticals and our own industries where we're competing.
Competing with what other businesses that are more bigoted and are like, hey, you're gay, you're trans, you don't look like how I think men and women should look, so you can't be in my business. It's like, this is the same type of people that are fighting to make it so that they don't have to serve black people. And it's pretty hilarious because, yeah, just switch out, LGBTQ people and put in black people. And these people are fighting for, racism and segregation and stuff.
This is Amanda Ensing. She's an entrepreneur, a beauty influencer, and a general badass boss lady. She started out beauty influencing with sponsorships from Sephora and other huge makeup brands. But when armchair critics started criticizing Amanda for stating her personal political beliefs, Sephora immediately canceled her sponsorships and went so far as to publicly condemn Amanda.
Yeah, that's their right as a business to not deal with people they don't want to deal with. It's hilarious that right-wingers went from businesses have the right to do whatever they want, and businesses are people, to I don't like when this business does something. I want government to make them do what I want.
So for me, I was like, you know what? The beauty industry is in shambles. It only caters to one party, one set of views. Let's create my own brand. Our first launch sold out.
I find right-wing, like, business people that want to be, like, so exclusive and, like, bigoted and, like, just cater to, like, right-wing, like, bigots and racists to be pretty funny, because you think that they would like money so much that they would, sell to everybody, but no, their racism trumps their desire for money. So they're like, I'm only going to cater to this small section of society and not really, grow very well or prosper or, do well as a business because there's only a small group of people compared to everybody else. It's just hilarious because capitalists, they don't care who you are, what you are. All they care about is money. And if you buy their product, well, that means they get money.
Out within like a day or two, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, what? And just seeing how much women wanted this, I was like, wow. And I was scared, it's terrifying putting your story out there. And when you get canceled, and with all of these people now coming for me, it's scary at first to take that first leap, but once you do, you just don't stop. The alternative to people not creating these businesses is way worse than if you would take that leap of faith.
Way worse? How? What? You buy better products?
Because I don't think a lot of people realize how willing Americans are to support you. Like, we are desperate for new brands and new companies.
America needs alternatives. Oh, and if you haven't already guessed, every single one of the people we interviewed is a perfect example of not just what fighting back looks like, but what winning looks like.
Nah, it's just examples of what, like, bigots look like. Come in all different types.
I'll give you one of the insights from my investing days. It's a famous quote from Warren Buffett. Be brave where others are fearful. There is an economic opportunity.
Yeah, guys, Be brave when it comes to being a racist. Don't let the world tell you that you're wrong. If you want to call a black person the N-word, feel free to do it. If somebody says anything against you, they're just woke.
I think it might be one of the biggest economic opportunities of the next decade to serve the 100 million plus Americans, okay, who are badly disaffected from the places where they work, where they shop, where they bank, where they invest.
Yeah, because right-wingers are so disenfranchised.
Are also, from an economic standpoint, some of the best customers that any business could want. That is an economic opportunity. It might be the economic opportunity of our generation. One person can't do everything, but each person can look themselves in the mirror and ask, how am I going to have my own unique contributions? For me, it's in the financial institutions, in the asset management industry, and in capital markets. Somebody else might be starting a consumer products company. Somebody else might be starting a new university. Somebody else might be starting a new mode or new approach to entertainment.
And none of these will make it. Not if you notice, right-wing businesses never really make it too far because they're always shit.
Each of us is making our own unique contributions, and I'm pretty optimistic that together it's a mosaic that drives that change through true diversity that dilutes the church of diversity to irrelevance.
Over the last few
I just noticed she had tattoos.
That dilutes the church.
I'm surprised that they're allowing a black chick with dreads and tattoos do this video. Right-wingers hate that kind of stuff because it's, unnatural hair and you're defiling the body.
Church of diversity to irrelevance.
Over the last few years, we've seen woke activists try to infiltrate every area of society: education, entertainment and media, sports, and business. And for many of us, that seems daunting, but talking with
For many of us, that's so scary that people want rights and want to be accepted in society. What happened to it just being white people controlling everything and being on TV?
people like Vivek Ramaswamy, Mike Ferris, Jeremy Boring, Jonathan Isaac, and Amanda Ensing, we have proof that you can push back and make a cultural impact by providing alternatives. We know we're not going to change everybody's mind on these issues, and that's okay. The goal is to create a society where even if nobody's mind changed, we can all live together in a pluralistic, prosperous, civil United States.
It will never be civil with right-wingers around because all they want to do is kill people for not being straight white Christian.
And I want to invite you on that journey. Together, we can fight
Yeah, I don't want to follow you on your journey. It just sounds horrible.
wokeism in academia, in the culture, in business. But it's not just about conservatives making alternatives for other conservatives.
Again, how much did you get paid to say all this dumb shit? Because I know you get paid a good bit of money, and this is your job just to read a script that somebody else wrote for you.
We need more people creating just flat-out good products, media, education, you name it. We need alternatives that are good for society and good for America. I'm ready to try. How about you?
Yeah, that was so horrible. I'm surprised I was able to, actually get through this. Like, just nothing but, bullshit. But hey, if you like my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment and let me know what you think. Peace.